people struggle to ask for help because they are used to being the helper. Throughout their lives, they've experienced an unbalanced give and take. So their instinct is usually, I'll figure it out on my own. The self-reliance is all they've ever known. Welcome to Mom on Purpose with Busie Sholo, the podcast. I am Busie Sholo, and each week I'll be bringing you an inspiring message or conversation to remind you that motherhood was never meant to tame you. So if you're ready to get untamed, to redefine motherhood for yourself, to learn and unlearn, to reignite and pursue your dreams beyond motherhood, then you are definitely in the right place. Let's get started. Hello guys, welcome to yet another episode of the Mom on Purpose with Busie Sholo podcast. I am Busie Sholo, and I'm so grateful for the love and for the engagement on my previous 2 episodes. You guys are amazing. Mohadi Morapi on YouTube said, I am here to learn and unlearn. And I love that because you guys know that that is what I stand for. And Olirato Writes said on IG, thank you for this episode, sis. I saw parts of my story in yours, which is actually so amazing because, again, that is my mission with this podcast, to help mothers find language, to help mothers see that they are not the only ones who go through certain things. I'm not podcasting because I must know it all, but I'm podcasting to give language so that we find each other and help each other grow, help each other learn, help each other unlearn, and also just to foster conversations that we wouldn't have otherwise. So yeah, know that you can also leave me your comment or your review on Apple Podcasts or whichever platform that you're enjoying this podcast from. Please don't forget to follow the podcast and to subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate that so much. And also, if you've got any questions for me, please forward them via email at info@onpurposewithbusiesholo.com. Okay, let's get started on today's episode. Today, I'm talking about 5 motherhood misconceptions that I've had to unlearn. Oh my goodness. You know, the thing about misconceptions is that if we don't address them and we don't voice out what the misconceptions are, we actually tend to take them as the truth and we run with them. We believe them, right? This happened to me. I learned misconceptions. Even before I knew there were misconceptions, I learned things about motherhood, and I took those things and I ran with those things and I absorbed them as beliefs and as a standard that I measured my own motherhood against without knowing that those things were misconceptions. And when I couldn't keep up, when I couldn't measure up to this unrealistic standard, I felt like I was falling short as a mom. I felt like I was inadequate as a mother. So I think it's important for us to have this conversation about misconceptions so that we don't set unrealistic expectations for ourselves, and we also don't live our lives believing the wrong thing. You know, they say that our lives always take the direction of our deepest thoughts and our deepest beliefs, right? So we need to check in on what we believe. My pastor always says that if you believe wrong, you live wrong. So it's important for us to check in with our beliefs. So with that said, let's start with the first misconception, which is asking for help is a sign of weakness. Listen, this is a misconception, a big one, and we are already struggling with asking for help as moms. So having this as a misconception just adds to this struggle and makes it more difficult for us to just go out there and ask for help. There's a quote by Les Brown. He said that, ask for help not because you are weak, but because you want to remain strong. And I found that to be very, very powerful, because I remember in my early years of motherhood, I was striving to portray myself as a strong mom, to prove that I was a strong mom, that I was a capable mom. And I thought that in order to prove my strength, I need to take the whole burden of raising my child, the whole responsibility to myself. I thought I just needed to not accept the help and figure things out on my own and not ask when I was confused, because I thought that meant I was strong. That was just a measure to say, you know what, you are there. You are a good mom. But now Les Brown with this quote is bringing a whole different perspective, in that he's saying that in order for you to remain strong, you need to ask for help. So I've heard before people say that there's strength in community, and that is very, very true. You're not weak by asking for help. You are actually strong. That's actually how you maintain your strength. I've said that we struggle with asking for help, but I read something by Tony Tone, where she was saying why some people actually struggle with asking for help. And I want to read that for us. She said that some people struggle to ask for help because they are used to being the helper. Throughout their lives, they've experienced an unbalanced give and take. So their instinct is usually, I'll figure it out on my own. The self-reliance is all they've ever known. So which is very, very profound, because nothing happens in a vacuum, right? So things come from somewhere. So it's important even for us, even if we don't identify with what Tony is saying, but we still need to actually take the time to find out why we struggle to ask for help. And I think let's just take this question as a journal prompt for this week. And just, if you're driving, ponder on it. If you've got a minute, just take your journal or your iPad or whatever you use to take notes or journal in, and write down, why do I struggle to ask for help? And then start jotting down all the reasons you believe that are the reasons why you are actually struggling with asking for help. And I think that is so important, and it's liberating, right? Because you are able to pinpoint what is happening to you, and you're able to just look at certain things and just like, this thing is not supposed to stop me. It's not so bad. I can get over this, and then you find a way forward. But when you know the reasons, it helps you to find a way forward, rather than just closing off and just saying, I can't ask for help, I find it difficult, and leaving it like that. And with that said, I'll also like us to look into the implications of not asking for help, or of not accepting help when it is offered to us. I know that asking for help takes being vulnerable, and it takes having to find someone that you really, really trust. In this case, that you trust with your kids, you trust with matters of your home, we trust that with things that are important to you, trust them enough for you to be able to be free to ask them to help, right? But I think it's important for us to cultivate those things. I'm not saying just randomly ask people that you don't trust to take care of your kids or do whatever. But I think it's important for us to challenge ourselves, because I believe that we can do so much more when we accept the help, and we can build more connections and more relationships, and actually nurture more relationships by being open with others and accepting the help that they give us. Because sometimes we do push people away by always saying, no, I'm okay. No, you don't need to do that for me. You see, sometimes we just need to actually allow people to help us, allow people to love us. I mean, we are so quick to actually want to help those we love, but sometimes we struggle to allow them the same courtesy, to allow them to be able to help and love us. So sometimes we end up pushing people away in that way. So I think it's just important to have, just think about that, to say, why am I struggling with accepting help or asking for help, and what are the implications of that, right? Asking for help rather, is not a sign of weakness. So misconception number 2 is that every time you invest in your dreams or your interest or your desires or your career goals, and maybe choosing also to work outside of the home, that you are in a way putting your kids at a disadvantage and you care less or you love your kids less as a mom. That is a big misconception, right? I believed it, and for me, again, nothing happens in a vacuum. I wasn't raised by my mom, right? We'll have that conversation another day. But for me, that void of not being raised by my mother actually caused me to have separation anxiety. And then I internalized this belief of that when you move away or when you separate from your child, doesn't matter if it's for 1 hour, it doesn't matter if it's for a weekend, it doesn't matter if it's for a week, when you just move away, then I internalized the belief that you are automatically a bad mom, automatically a bad mother, right? So as a result, I avoided things that were going to make me separate from my child. My dreams needed me to sacrifice time with my child, all of those things, cultivating my interests and sometimes self-care and sometimes even anniversary trips with my husband. I would just choose to stay home, or maybe if we are going to go, we're taking the child with. Tell me, how is it an anniversary trip if you're taking the child with you? But never mind, I learned the hard way. But I'm just explaining how the things that we experienced when we were young or how we were raised actually comes into play and influence our motherhood. I remember reading the book, What Happened to You. I think it's Dr. Perry, if I'm not mistaken, with Oprah Winfrey, who wrote the book together. And they just highlight the important, or rather highlight how things that actually happen to you affect or influence who you are and how you do things now. Ne? So whatever the reasons are, we as moms, we tend to do that. We tend to put our dreams and our goals in the back burner. We tend to say, I can't do this. I want to be a good mom. I want to be a present mom. I want to be an available mom. But we really should take the time to actually evaluate what being a present mom means, and if cultivating your dreams and your interests actually takes away from that, because I really believe that it doesn't. These things can coexist, being a good mother and actually cultivating your needs and making sure that you allow yourself to cultivate other facets of your identity and all the other things that make you you, because motherhood is just one part of who you are. It's important to know that these things can coexist rather than just being one-sided and believing this misconception that if I go all in and zone in on my dreams and decide to work outside the home, then I have less love. That's so untrue. I mean, circumstances are not the same. Sometimes moms need to cut their maternity leave short because of the need that is there at home. And then they need to go and work, even though they would like to stay home and be there. They can't. So our circumstances are different. Our needs are different. And we are fulfilled by different things. So it's very unfair for people to believe that if you are a mom who's working outside of the home, you have less care and less love for your kids. It's a very big misconception. So I know that pursuing your dreams is a sacrifice. Cultivating your interests is a sacrifice. Choosing to work outside of the home is a sacrifice. Sometimes we even tend to resent our partners, maybe because they are home or they get to spend more time with our children. But we need to look at the positive of why we are doing what we're doing and how that positively impacts our families and our children, right? And also, we need to look at the reasons why we can't do certain things. Sometimes we are unable to pursue the dream because it's just not the season to do it now. Sometimes we are unable to go to school because we just don't have the money for it now. We're not just going to say I'm not doing it because I don't want to put my kids at a disadvantage. It's important for us to be truthful when it comes to our reasons, because then that allows us to look for solutions as to how things can be done. If it's money, how can I raise money? If it's time, how can I make more time for myself? If it's not the right time now and it's not the right season, then you know that, okay, this is not the right season. I can be able to do it later, instead of shutting down and saying, I want to be a good mom and this makes me a bad mother, right? Misconception number 3 is that as a mother, you have to be an expert in all things concerning your child. You know where the danger is. The danger is in that this is a goal that you cannot achieve. I believe that it's a goal that you cannot achieve. You cannot be an expert. Like when you look at the dictionary and try to look at a synonym for the word expert, it's actually being a specialist, which means you're kind of really trained and really knowledgeable at a particular thing. So how can you be really, really trained and be really, really skilled in knowing your child? Because your child's going to evolve, your child's going to grow, your child's going to change. So you are growing with your child. There's no way to predetermine and know like everything to the T, exactly how everything is going to unfold. So that's why I'm saying I believe that this is a goal that's not attainable. There's a quote by also that says that when a child is born, the mother is also born. The mother did not exist before. Only the woman existed. The mother is someone completely new. And that just goes to show that you are new at this and you are growing and learning along your child, along your children, right? And there is no way for you to, like I said, predetermine and know everything. There's no university that says this is a university to know about your kids, and when you're done, you're going to be skilled, you're going to be a specialist, and we're going to give you a certificate. No, there isn't a place like that. And I had an Instagram live with Tseho Dludla, who's a mom of 3, and she said something so profound. She said that every time she gave birth to her kids, she felt like she was reborn. She had to literally take the time to rediscover who she was, because the woman who was not a mom is different from the woman who became a mom of 1, and it's different from the woman who was a mom of 2 and the one who was a mom of 3. So each time she had to learn herself, she has to rediscover herself, and also had to redefine what motherhood means for her now, and had to still learn more about her kids. You learn more about your kid as the first child, and then you learn more about them as being a sibling to the child that's number 2. There's a lot of dynamics, but as for being an expert, that's not possible. I mean, with my own story, I struggled so much with breastfeeding the first time. I didn't have milk. I didn't know that was possible. In my head, you're pregnant, and I know the changes in the body that happen are preparing for you to be able to take care of the child after you give birth. And I thought it was just a natural progression for me to be able to have milk and breastfeed my child. Mind you, when I was asked before giving birth, are you gonna give formula and also breastfeed, or are you gonna breastfeed exclusively? I said I'm gonna breastfeed exclusively, and to my surprise, when it didn't happen when I gave birth, I felt like I was failing as a mom. I felt like my body was failing me. I could not understand because I didn't know that was possible, right? But luckily we were still in the hospital, obviously. That was day 1. And they prescribed a syrup. I can't remember what it was called, but my husband went to the pharmacy to get it for us. And yeah. And then the second day you could see a difference. And then later on, I had enough milk. Then we were discharged and we were able to go home, right? So yeah, I did feel like at the time I should have known, because I'm a mom. Why not? Why am I not able to do this? But now I understand that we keep learning and understanding certain things and knowing that, okay, when this happens, this is what I'm supposed to do. Not that you're supposed to know everything from the get-go as a mom about your kids. No. Okay. So misconception number 4 is that being a stay-at-home mom or desiring to be a stay-at-home mom means that you are incompetent, means that you are lazy, it means that you lack creativity. No, and no. I disagree. Having been a stay-at-home mom before for 2 years, I know how hard it is to be a stay-at-home mom. You know, whoever actually coined the term home executive literally deserves an award, because it is literally that. You are like head of department, you are the CEO, you are everything in your home. And you know, when I started working, I started going outside of the home and coming back, it was so refreshing to get just that fresh air and that outlet and that change of environment. But when I was a stay-at-home mom, it was so busy, but sometimes it felt like it was the same old, same old. You only go out to buy groceries. Everything else is done at home, around the home, right? And so it's a hard job. And you know, we are coming from an era where the role of a woman was just defined for a woman to say, Uti, you stay at home, you cook, you clean, there's nothing else for you to do. But now we are entering an era where women are given the freedom of choice, where they're allowed to choose whether they want to become stay-at-home moms or work outside of home moms or whatever it is that they want to do. So why not allow the moms to exercise their freedom? Everybody's allowed to choose what they want to do. It doesn't mean that they're lazy. It doesn't mean that they are not creative. It just means that's what they value the most, and they have their reasons why they choose to do what they do, right? Again, like I said, we are fulfilled by different things and we desire different things in life. So it's a misconception to just assume that because a person stayed at home, they are lazy and they can't do a thing. No, they can. Running a home is not a child's play. So ours is to encourage one another and support one another in our decisions. And misconception number 5 is, it is selfish to put yourself first. It's not. It's really not. And I'm going to use the analogy that is cliche, I know. But what does a flight attendant tell us when we board a plane? They tell us that in any case of an emergency, please ensure that you put your own oxygen mask first before attempting to help somebody else. And imagine if there's an emergency in the plane and everybody else just decides that I'm not going to put my own oxygen mask first, but instead I'm going to try and reach out and try and help other people. I'll imagine that we will have a couple of people who are literally dropping down and dying because they didn't take care of themselves first. But if you look at the opposite of it, where everyone is actually going to take their own oxygen mask and put it on first, then we're going to have a couple of people who are okay and are going to be capable to help those who are really, really struggling with putting on their own masks first. So it's the same thing with motherhood and putting yourself first. If you fill your own cup and if you put your own mask on first, it allows you to be healthy and fit and have the capacity to take care of those you love. So for me, taking care of yourself is not selfish. It's actually an expression of love for those that you love, because it's a gift of health, so that you are fit enough and alive to be actually there to take care of them. Because if you are overwhelmed and exhausted and burnt out and stressed and sick, you won't be able to fulfill any of your duties. So it's important for you to take care of yourself as a mom. So self-care is not selfish. Self-care is important. Self-care is beautiful, and you need to take good care of yourself as a mother. So these are the 5 misconceptions about motherhood that I have had to unlearn. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, to like, to comment, and to follow the podcast on all digital platforms. Until next time, I am Busie Sholo. Thank you so much. Mwah.